The best guards on the board, Tevin Jenkins 1, Brandon Sheriff 2, and then you got Will Hernandez.
Yep.
To me, you have to make a concerted effort to sign 2 of these guys.
Yes.
Make a concerted effort to sign 2 of these guys. Brandon Sheriff, we know the cliff is going to happen at some point. It hasn't happened yet. Do not operate in fear. Do not operate in fear and saying this guy's going to fall off a cliff at some point. Don't let the fact that you haven't signed T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson, or Jamar Chase stop you from getting better. Football is built through the trenches. You still need to build it from the line out. You still need to do that. You still need to do that. And that's something that the Bengals need to make happen. That's something that they need to make happen before the draft. They need to make a concerted effort to get better. That's what I like to see from them moving forward. Something has to be talked about regarding the fact that he had, well, how many penalties did he have? 0 penalties?
Yeah.
This past year, he let up 0 sacks. Those are numbers that the Bengals would absolutely kill for at their spot. Absolutely kill for at the guard spot. So I don't understand why, you can't be nitpicking when you don't have a huge pool of players to actually pick from. That's my biggest issue. I really believe Dalton Risner could genuinely be the Cincinnati Bengals, Mike Gesicki of this year.
Yeah.
It's a guy that we've talked about so much that it will cost very little, that teams have been unwilling to commit long-term to. At the very least, you're getting a very strong pass blocker in here. It's a guy that you had interest when he was coming out of Kansas State. It didn't work out. You didn't draft him. That's fine. You have the ability to rectify that mistake, which is why I've pounded the table for a guy like Dalton Risner. And, I personally think that he would be a huge upgrade for what they're looking for. But Dalton Risner allows you the ability to add a guy in the draft, and that guy can grow, can learn, can mature. Yes. It's very evident nobody is beating down Dalton Risner's door for whatever reason. Maybe it's injuries. Maybe it's attitude. I have no idea. But at this point, you can't try to say we're not willing to sacrifice culture. You drafted a guy like Jermaine Burton.
Yeah.
You drafted a guy like Jermaine Burton. What is so bad about committing to Dalton Risner that you're like, you know what? We don't know. We rather explore other guard options. Dalton Risner would step in day one and be the best guard on the Bengals.
Yeah.
I'll even listen to the Will Hernandez talk. And albeit, Will Hernandez is a smaller guard standing at 6'2", and he's coming off of an injury. I'll still listen to it. But you can continue, Daniel. But I genuinely think Dalton Risner is a guy that we're getting to the point. We're getting to the bottom of the barrel at this point.
Yes.
And I don't think he's a bottom of the barrel type player, but we're getting to the bottom of the barrel of guys that people aren't banging down their doors to add. So at this point, you can't nitpick anymore. You can't say, I think I want this guy. You have to literally, honestly, at this point, go who the best player available is. And believe it or not, there are still some really good, solid options, like a Brandon Sheriff. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Brandon Sheriff is from Ohio.
You're getting a guy who has proven it just this past season. You're getting a guy who I believe is 29. He's about to turn 30, but he is an absolute pro, and he's been widely regarded as a very, very good guard. And like you pointed out, this dude had 0 penalties last year, not a single penalty. And the year before, he only had 3. And when you look at the sacks he's given up in the past 2 years, this dude has given up 2 sacks. He only allowed 1 quarterback hit in his entire 7 games last year. So, like I said, the Minnesota Vikings was a very complex offense, and he helped them out a boatload. So Dalton Risner for sure is somebody where this guy was available last year. He's available now. I'd be confident saying, hey, if this guy would totally be an upgrade at the position, and you just hope that the Bengals are viewing it the same as well. But one last guy, Malik, I was touching on Tristan Colon. I just wanted to go to his PFF numbers real quick.
Sure.
Just looking at it, even what he did last year, I understand this Arizona Cardinals offense was all over the place last year. They didn't have a consistent run game. They didn't know what the hell they were doing in the passing attack, but this is a dude who gave up 0 sacks last year. 0 sacks. And obviously he was a spot starter for about 8 games last year, but 0 sacks, and he only had 1 penalty. And this is a guy who you are looking for guys who are versatile. I'm looking for a guy who's done it, at right guard last year. I'm looking at a guy who's done it at left guard the year before. I'm looking at a guy who started his career off as a center, right? Played 2 years at center for the Baltimore Ravens. So